Kegels are often the go-to exercise for rebuilding your pelvic floor strength after pregnancy. However, what isn't widely discussed is how combining Kegels with specific exercises can dramatically improve their effectiveness. Research has shown that when Kegels are performed alongside a targeted set of exercises, the activation of the pelvic floor muscle significantly increases. And improving pelvic floor strength can have a profound effect on reducing lower back pain, incontinence, and improving sexual function. Now I'm going to walk you through 6 of these exercises and teach you how to do them while incorporating a voluntary Kegel. Remember, these exercises alone won't strengthen the pelvic floor. The key here is to do them with a voluntary Kegel. If you're not sure how to do a Kegel, I'll link to a video here and also down in the description for you to go to and watch before continuing. Okay, so the first exercise we're going to start with is a bridge. So make your way down onto the mat. So with the bridge, making sure your heels are in line with your sit bones, arms resting by your side or up into the air, whatever is comfortable for you. With this, we want to contract the pelvic floor as you press up into the bridge. So we'll take the inhale breath at the bottom, release that pelvic floor, and then as you exhale, squeeze and lift through the pelvic floor as you push up through the heels, and then inhale, release the pelvic floor on the way down. So exhale, squeeze and lift the pelvic floor, inhale, release, exhale, squeeze and lift. So you want to complete at least your 10 reps and you want to do 3 sets of the 10 reps. Really focusing that as you exhale to breathe up, that is when you get that nice squeeze and lift through the pelvic floor. The next exercise is a cat-cow. So gently make your way onto all fours. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. And we want to inhale as we extend. We feel the sit bones widen, pelvic floor relaxes. And then as we exhale and we start to curl through the spine, we squeeze and lift through that pelvic floor. And then inhale, we're releasing the pelvic floor. So exhale, squeeze and lift. So really important here though that you don't feel any descent into your rectum, and that just means that you're overdoing that pelvic floor contraction. So really feel like it is that squeeze and lift rather than that bear down. And don't be scared to use that breath. So it's that inhale through the nose, pelvic floor relaxes, and then exhale, pelvic floor contracts. Inhale, lengthen, and then exhale, pelvic floor contracts. So with the next exercise, it is a bear hover, so you can stay in the same setup. Find that neutral position, stopping in the middle, active through the feet. And so when we hover the knees, that is when we contract the pelvic floor. So we're going to inhale, relax the pelvic floor, and then exhale, we're going to actively think of that voluntary Kegel. And then inhale, release the pelvic floor as we lower back down. So exhale, squeeze and lift the pelvic floor as we hover the knees a few inches off the ground. And then inhale, release the pelvic floor. Good. Exhale, squeeze and lift. And then inhale, lower. Making your way now down onto your side. It's a clam position. So support the head with the bottom arm, and then just with the alignment, head, shoulders, pelvis and heels all in a nice straight line. Make sure with that tummy that it's not just hanging out on the floor. You want to be able to slide a piece of paper between your trunk and the floor. And with this one, we want to contract that pelvic floor as we open up, squeeze the heels into a clam, and then we inhale, relax the pelvic floor as we float back down. So take that breath in first to prepare, and then exhale, squeeze and lift through the pelvic floor as we open up, and then inhale, relax the pelvic floor. Exhale, squeeze and lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, squeeze and lift. Inhale, lower. Always make sure that you do both sides. The next exercise is a functional movement that we do all day, and that is a squat. So starting off with your feet slightly wider than your hips, a little bit of a turnout is just quite nice to open the hips. Coming into the squat position, you're actually going to inhale and relax the pelvic floor as you lower into your squat, and then exhale. It's when you come to the top of your squat, you want to engage the pelvic floor. So as you inhale, lower, you sink into your hips, send your sit bones back, relax the pelvic floor, and then really think of that squeeze and lift as you press up, nice and tall through that pelvic floor. So inhale, release the pelvic floor as we lower, exhale, pelvic floor's on. Inhale, pelvic floor releases, and then exhale, on. Last one here. Well done. The next one is a lunge. Again, a functional movement that we do throughout our entire life. So coming into your lunge position, and same thing in that you want to inhale on the way down to relax the pelvic floor, and then engage in that voluntary Kegel as you come up to the top of your lunge. So we inhale as we lower, relax the pelvic floor, and then exhale, squeeze and lift through the pelvic floor. Inhale, lower, and then exhale, pelvic floor's on. Inhale, and then exhale, inhale. Release the pelvic floor, exhale, pelvic floor's on. So always remember to make sure you're doing both sides, and to build that strength, you are looking for doing about 10 to 20 reps, 3 sets through on each side. Now, working on your pelvic floor is really important right throughout pregnancy and after giving birth. A strong pelvic floor helps with the delivery and improves in your rehab time. Some common daily activities can actually weaken your pelvic floor and undo all the good work that you're doing. If you'd like to learn more about these activities, as well as a bunch of other health habits to implement throughout your pregnancy and your 4th trimester, I've put together a free guide for you that you can download using the link in the description. So you may have heard that Kegels is something to just do while you're feeding your baby, while you're driving the car, sitting at the traffic lights, or lying in bed at the end of the day, just trying to get those reps in. But your pelvic floor is just one part of your deep core system. The muscles in this system all work in synergy to stabilize your spine and move load across the trunk. In the pre and postnatal phase, it's really important to rehabilitate and strengthen this entire system, not just one. And a great way to do this is by making the exercises I just walked you through a part of your regular routine. These will not only make Kegels more effective, but you'll also be working on all those other deep core muscles at the same time. Pelvic health isn't all about strength, it's also about its ability to contract and relax through its entire range. You can also incorporate a stretching routine to help with that side of things. In this video, I'll take you through a Pilates flow specifically designed to help relax and stretch your pelvic floor, which is a really great way to implement and complement your exercise program. So make sure you go ahead and watch that one next.